most organizations, they are on Slack or Microsoft Teams, and you can create bots which can help you manage data on Salesforce, HubSpot, uh, or just even your database, right? So you can tell the bot any information that needs to be added, removed, or deleted. Like if you have leads coming in your Salesforce, the salesperson can just say add this lead, right, with the required details. Or if you want to update a specific information regarding that lead, also the salesperson can just do that. If you are a brand that has a lot of inventory and you're just going to be adding new inventory, rather than going to the inventory portal, you just tell Slack bot, add this particular inventory or update the inventory, or even if you want to remove the inventory, you can do that. What we're going to be using here is the Gemma 3 model. The good thing about Gemma 3 is that your data does not leave your infrastructure, so you can host this model within your infrastructure, and it is a powerful model. If you go to the Olama website, it has instruction on how this model can be downloaded locally. The 4 billion is more than enough for what we are going to be doing. So the LLM bot, how it functions is that you need to configure the Slack bot. There's a lot of materials online, so it's quite easy to do that by yourself. Once it's configured, you get the required API keys for this. Add those API keys in LLM CRUD, which is the code base that will be shared in the description. The LLM CRUD will receive the messages, it will interpret the messages, and then do the required operation of adding and removing the data in a MySQL database. The actions that the LLM CRUD would be performing would be create action, delete, update, or read. There is a description and parameters for each of the actions. You can see it is in a YAML format, which will be ingested by the LLM, so it knows what actions and parameters are available. All right, so now just going on to a high level flow of how this functions is that there is a Slack listener where through WebSockets keeps listening to any new messages that comes in. Once the message comes in, there is a message interpreter class. The message interpreter class interprets a message to see what action needs to be performed and also extracts out parameters from the messages. So if there is first name, last name, or email, it'll extract it out. Post that, the action and the parameters goes to the user manager class. So the user manager class has got functions which executes the actions. So if there's create, read, update, or delete, the user manager class will perform the required execution of those actions. And based on the execution, the data will be persisted in the MySQL database or read from it. All right, so the table that we'll be using in the MySQL is a simple table. It's a users table that has an email ID, first name, and last name. Now, main.py is the file that you need to execute. The handle mention function. So this is the one where when you say @ in Slack, this function is the one that will get triggered. The message will come in. So the message interpreter, as I showed before, instantiated, and then we pass the message into the message interpreter. What is inside the message interpreter? Here what happens is that the classify message action, as you can see, it has taken the action names which comes from the action config YAML files. It is basically the same YAML file that was shown in the whiteboard just before. I'll just show it again here, so you can see it's just the same content here. Now just going back to the classify message action. So the actions are taken, there is a prompt for classifying these actions. The message is sent to the LLM to get what action needs to be executed. Similarly, there is one more LLM call that helps in doing the extraction, extract the parameters from the text that comes in from the Slack. Once the action and the parameters are taken out, then we go to the user manager to execute the action. The user manager, as I said before, helps doing the interface between the action and the database. So here you can see that you have like the create user that does the create user action. So essentially it does an insert statement into the MySQL database. Then you have update user that is an update statement. There's a delete user that does the delete statement, and then you have a function that does the execute action. So based on what the action is, it'll execute that particular function. So let's just try to run this program. Python main.py. It's going to start. So this is the Slack where I have named the Slack bot CRUD, and I'm going to say I want to add a user called John Doe with email johndoe@gmail.com, right? So I'm going to say add John Doe at gmail.com, whose name is John Doe, right? So this has been executed here. All right, so to verify this, we can go to the MySQL database and see if John Doe is there. Okay, so John Doe is here. I can say, let's add Jane Doe also. So they add clutter. So this time I'm just going to change the message format, right? So I'm going to say create a user called Jane Doe at gmail.com, and the name is Jane Doe. All right, so I'm going to execute this. It's processing, and it's done. We can check this out. All right, so we got John and Jane in. I want to update the name of John Doe, right? So I'm going to say add clutter, update John Doe at gmail.com. All right, so I'm going to say I want to change the name of John Doe, right? So I'm going to say add clutter, say change name of John Doe at gmail.com to Robert Doe. All right, so this is processing and it is done. So let's see if we can see that John Doe's name has been changed to Robert now. Add clutter, remove Jane Doe at gmail.com. Right, so we're going to remove this email address and let's verify if it's gone. And there you go. This has been, Jane Doe has been removed from the database. So this is how this LLM clutter works. It's a simple example. The code base is available in the link in the description. This can be expanded further depending on what system that you have. So what could be added is ORM layers. Instead of just writing direct SQL queries, you could use some sort of an ORM to interact with the database that you have. You can add a permission layer so that not everyone is able to perform this operation within your organization. So you can control who gets to do this operation and you can configure the permission based on that. There is a validation layer can be also added just to ensure that the correct data is going in and the data integrity is maintained. And as I said earlier, the example that I gave right now is with MySQL, but you can create a manager that interacts with Salesforce, that interacts with HubSpot or an ERP system. So it does not have to be a database also. So this was a simple example how Slack bots or even a Microsoft Team bot can be used just to interact with any system by just telling the bot in simple English text what you want it to do and just giving the required data, and the bot will just go and perform that action. So this can be used for various use cases depending on the need. All right, thank you so much. That's all for today.